Hi everyone, my name is Karen McConaughey, and I decided to do my research project on some of the potential factors of homelessness in the city of Poughkeepsie, which is in New York. Poughkeepsie is my neighboring city, and I have worked with programs and agencies in the area for the last 4 years, so I'm very familiar with the people. I've worked with individuals and families in the city, and I've noticed a trend that a lot of them stated that they have struggled with finding affordable housing. This is why I decided to conduct this research and hypothesize that the lack of affordable housing is the #1 reason for homelessness in Poughkeepsie. With the cooperation of Hudson River Housing and Hillcrest House, which are two housing programs in the city, I was able to gather 200 participants for my study. They were given an informed consent and stated the rules about confidentiality and was told that they would not be broken unless there was any potential harm to themselves or others. I then developed a 5-part questionnaire that asked the individuals to rank the reasons that they believed they became homeless on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being the #1 reason they became homeless, and 5 being the last potential reason that they became homeless. The 5 categories to choose from were substance abuse, unemployment, mental illness, the lack of affordable housing, and unexpected life events such as a death in the family or a divorce, for example. After gathering the results from all the questionnaires, I decided to conduct a chi-squared goodness of fit analysis test. This test would allow me to compare the expected results to the observed results and see if my hypothesis was correct. The expected number of people for each category was 40 because 200 participants divided by 5 would be 40. But when the observed results came back, I noticed that there was a significant difference. 84 people said that lack of affordable housing was their #1 reason, 16 said substance abuse, 31 said unemployment, 39 said mental health, and 30 said unexpected life events. So clearly, unaffordable housing trumped all the other reasons at 42% of the sampled population stating that lack of affordable housing was their #1 reason. The chi-squared analysis was conducted with a 5% significance level of 5, and the degrees of freedom was 4. After adding all these individual categories, the total p-value was 110.55, and the critical value for this test was only at 9.49. Therefore, my results were significantly higher than the expected results, which means that I could then reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis that says there was a significant difference between unaffordable housing compared to any other factor. Some of my limitations included wanting to get a larger sample but couldn't. I think a study like this could turn people away because people could be afraid they lose their, transitional housing position or potentially be implicated for admitting that they've used substances before. I think making sure that everyone understood the rules of confidentiality and that everything was very private between me and the other researchers, it would, potentially get more people involved. Another adjustment I would want to make is to the questionnaire. I would want to change the wording between not only affordable housing, but also the quality of housing, because throughout a lot of the research that I'd done for this study, it showed that people didn't necessarily have a problem affording their house. They just couldn't afford a good quality place to live, and that could be because it was unsanitary or safe, like unsafe in a bad area. So I think focusing on both of those things, the lack of affordable housing and the lack of affordable and quality housing, would be an important step to further this research. Another thing I'd want to change would be to add an others option for the categories listed, because I only listed 5 categories, but everyone has, their different reasons for becoming homeless, so I'd want to make sure there's an open availability that they can write down whatever they would like. Another option, could be domestic violence or incarceration, for example, so I'd want to leave it open to everyone's, personal stories. But overall, I think my hypothesis, proved to be correct, and there's further steps that I would like to take to prove my theory, behind the lack of affordable housing. But overall, it was pretty great, and I would want to submit this to the state and the local governments to show that there should be a greater focus on the lack of affordable housing and potentially get, more grants to go towards, building affordable housing in the area. All right. Thank you so much for listening, guys.